Sure. Face down, raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Doctor. Could you please state and spell your name for the court record?
Susan Greenspoon. It's Susan and Greenspoon.
Thank you. What is your current occupation and where are you employed?
I'm a forensic molecular biologist at the Virginia Department of Forensic Science.
How long have you been with DFS?
I've been with DFS for over 24 years now.
All right. And did you have employment in the area of forensic testing prior to DFS?
Yes, I worked at the Detroit Police Department Crime Lab for 6 years prior to joining DFS.
Okay. Outside of your formal education, did you receive any training to work at DFS?
Well, I was trained as a DNA examiner at the Detroit Police Department Crime Lab prior to coming to DFS, and so I was a court-qualified DNA examiner. So once I got to DFS, I was already qualified as a DNA examiner, but I did receive additional training for various specialties, such as probabilistic genotype software analysis and other special types of casework activities that I performed at DFS. I did receive additional training for that.
Okay, thank you. What are your responsibilities at the Department of Forensic Science?
My primary responsibilities are to head the research and validation program for the forensic biology unit. I also perform specialized casework such as for probabilistic genotyping and relationship testing statistical analysis. I mentor graduate students primarily through Virginia Commonwealth University master's program, and I help troubleshoot various technical problems that occur in the laboratory, and then also assist the program manager when, on specific kinds of tasks that may need my assistance.
Thank you. Have you ever testified as an expert before?
Yes, I have.
Have you testified in Fairfax County as an expert?
Yes, I have.
Do you know approximately how many times?
I've testified over 60 times, approximately 70 times, I guess.
All right, thank you. Judge, at this time, I would offer Dr. Greenspoon as an expert in the field of forensic science and DNA analysis.
Any objection? No. All right, so moved.
Thank you. All right, so we've heard a little bit about DNA testing using the PowerPlex fusion amplification system. You, however, in the testing that you did in this case, used the true allele casework system. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between PowerPlex and true allele?
Well, the PowerPlex fusion system is used to generate the DNA profiles. It's used in combination with the PCR thermocycler machine that uses the chemicals and the specific components of the PowerPlex fusion system to generate millions of copies of specific regions of the DNA that vary among people. And that's what we use for human identification analysis. That's what PowerPlex fusion is used for. What the true allele casework system does is it takes the raw data produced by the instrumentation used to visualize those DNA samples, and it utilizes that data to model forensic casework samples. So it models the DNA mixture samples in such a way that allows it to separate out the DNA profiles for the unknown contributors to that mixture. So if you have multiple contributors to a DNA sample that's a forensic unknown casework sample, a program such as TrueAllele that performs probabilistic genotyping will propose a model to explain that DNA mixture in terms of the DNA profiles for the contributors to that mixture. So it models it, it proposes a model, it tests that model using probability assessments, and then it changes the model, and then it tests it, and it does this, iteratively, repeatedly for millions of times. And so it does it millions of times, it proposes a model, it tests it to see how well does it explain this mixture, and then it does this over and over and over. And at the end of its analysis, the software program analysis, then it comes up with the most likely DNA profiles for these unknown contributors to this DNA sample.
All right, so in this case, you were provided with items that had been previously tested and resulted in mixture of profiles that you then used TrueAllele to sort out. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. For comparison, what did you receive from the 4 potential individuals in this case from whom you then had to, or from which you then had to develop profiles?
The DNA profiles in this case were developed by Ms. Colombo. She performed all the DNA analysis. She provided electronic data from the instrument itself that the instrument produced when it was visualizing and separating out and visualizing these DNA products, these DNA typing products. So she provided that electronic data to me for analysis for the specific samples that were earmarked for TrueAllele analysis, this TrueAllele casework probabilistic genotyping system. So she provided those to me on that electronic data to me on a secured server that we all can access in forensic biology around the state. And she also provided copies, hard copies, printed copies of the DNA profiles that she developed, because I'm dealing with the raw data that I upload to the software program, but then she provides with the DNA profiles that she generated. So I have a bigger picture of what's been developed on the DNA testing side in the case.
Okay, so let's turn to what I'm going to display here as Commonwealth's 165. I'd like to offer into evidence at this point in time the certificate of analysis dated June 7th, 2024.
Any objection? No. All right, so entered.
All right, so reviewing this certificate of analysis, I see that you were comparing buccal samples, or at least the data as you have described that was previously analyzed and produced, shared with you, that resulted in profiles for Brendan Banfield, Juliana Perez-Magalhaes, Christine Banfield, and Joseph Ryan, for comparison with then the sample from the coat from Brendan Banfield. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And what did your testing reveal?
If I can refer to my copy, or well, if you scroll. So
Your preference, I can either, I don't know if you can
this
read
is
it.
fine.
Okay.
So I want to just provide a little bit more information about this process, because the TrueAllele casework probabilistic genotyping software program separates out and generates the most likely DNA profiles for these unknown contributors to this mixture. After that work is done, then a comparison is made to reference samples, known DNA profiles for persons of interest. The comparison is, so the probabilistic genotyping system simplifies these mixtures. And then comparisons are made then to the analyzed mixture sample in the form of a likelihood ratio using these reference samples. This report reports the likelihood ratio values. A likelihood ratio compares two alternative explanations for the DNA, the forensic DNA sample, the mixture sample, based on this comparison with this reference sample with the person of interest. So the first, the two different alternative explanations are that the probability of generating this, or the probability of observing this DNA mixture profile if the person of interest is a contributor, versus the alternate explanation, which is the probability of observing this DNA mixture if somebody else, not that person of interest, is a contributor. So the likelihood ratio can be over 1, and that lends support to the first explanation, or it can be below 1, and that lends support for the alternate explanation. So the larger the value, the stronger the support for the first explanation in this case.
All right, so looking at the results that were produced from the testing on Mr. Banfield's jacket, we looked, I believe, the area that was first reported was the testing on the exterior rear lower left side of the coat.
Yes, so on evaluation of the mixture profile, I told the software program that I estimated there to be 3 contributors to this mixture. That was from my human evaluation of this, the DNA profile generated by Ms. Colombo. So assuming the DNA profile that was previously developed from an area on the exterior rear and lower left side of Brendan Banfield's coat is a mixture of 3 unknown contributors, then the true allele casework system objectively inferred genotypes solely from these data. So we do perform duplicate analyses. We're required to generate at least 2 concordant analyses that they confirm each other's results. So following these duplicate reproducible analyses, then the computer then compared each inferred contributor genotype to the provided reference genotypes of Brendan Banfield, Juliana Perez Magalhaes, and Christine Banfield relative to the reference populations to compute the likelihood ratio match statistics. So based on these results, Brendan Banfield cannot be eliminated as a contributor to this DNA mixture profile, and the DNA profile developed from an area on the exterior rear lower left side of Brendan Banfield's coat at the Powerplex fusion loci is approximately 21 million times more likely if it originated from Brendan Banfield and 2 unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population than if it originated from 3 unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population. Then it's 1 billion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Brendan Banfield and 2 unrelated individuals in the African American population than if it originated from 3 unrelated unknown individuals in the African American population. And then finally, it's 29 million times more likely to be observed if it originated from Brendan Banfield and 2 unrelated unknown individuals in the Hispanic population than if it originated from 3 unrelated unknown individuals in the Hispanic population.
Okay, so if we boil that down, Brendan Banfield is on Brendan Banfield's coat.
Well, there is statistical DNA and statistical support that for the explanation that Mr. Banfield is on Mr. Banfield's coat.
Okay,
Yes.
but more than that was found, right?
Yes.
And without going into the population and probabilistic information, we saw that the other profiles that were developed were from who?
Well, then similarly, a comparison with this mixture sample was made with Ms. Magalhaes' reference DNA profile. These values wound up being considered, based on our internal validation testing, to be uninformative or inconclusive. They were not large values. And so these values were 310 times more likely.
Okay, so we could identify that Juliana's DNA was inconclusive. We weren't able to necessarily make a match there. Is that fair?
We would state it as it was just uninformative. We can't draw conclusions
Okay.
as to whether there's support or not for that.
Thank you. How about Christine's DNA?
So for Christine's DNA, the statistics were 18 billion times more likely for this profile to be observed, this DNA mixture profile to be observed, if it originated from Christine Banfield and 2 unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population than if it originated from 3 unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population.
So in our mixture, we have most likely Brendan and Christine. Is that accurate? I know I'm dumbing down the science here, and I apologize, but to just be as simplified about it as we can.
We would say that the true allele casework probabilistic genotyping analysis provided support, statistical support for Christine Banfield and Brendan Banfield to be contributors to this mixture.
All right, and then we looked at the stain A from the coat. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right.
from of the 2, stain A of the 2 stained areas, approximately midway.
Right, and again, certainly not trying to limit the extensive effort that you put in here to determine the results, but as a summary, whose DNA could not be eliminated from consideration as a contributor to the mixture at stain A?
Well, at stain A then, Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan cannot be eliminated as contributors to this stain A.
Thank you. I'd like to direct your attention to what I will offer into evidence as Commonwealth's 167. And I'm sorry, Your Honor, can I confirm that we just did 166?
No, we did 165.
That's what I felt like, okay. Thank you, Judge. In which case, let me look at 166. That is not what I want. So I am going to jump, Judge, to Exhibit 167. And if I can take just a step back. All right, we're going to go with 166. Judge, at this time, I would offer Commonwealth's 166 into evidence.
All right, any objection to 166?
Yeah, sorry.
But I think to the
The
top.
other way to the top. Certificate of analysis dated June 17th, 2024.
No objection? Okay, no objection to 166. So 166 is in evidence.
Thank you. Dr. Greenspoon, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay. And here, we are again using true allele to learn more about the blood that was tested by Ms. Colombo on the fitted sheet from the master bedroom. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Tell us what we learned about the mixture profiles that were present on the sheet in the blood sampled here.
Okay, on the sheet,
Do you need me to scroll back up just a bit?
it's okay, for this, the representative sample from a stained area on the sheet, I estimated there to be 2 contributors to this mixture sample. And so, based on the true allele analysis, Christine Banfield cannot be eliminated as a contributor to this DNA mixture profile. And the DNA profile developed from a representative sample of the stained area on the exterior of one of the corners of the sheet of the powerplex fusion loci is approximately 12 septillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Christine Banfield and one unrelated unknown individual in the Caucasian population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population, and 6.3 octillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Christine Banfield and one unrelated unknown individual in the African American population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the African American population, and then 160 septillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Christine Banfield and one unrelated unknown individual in the Hispanic population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the Hispanic population.
Okay, and then who was the other contributor?
And then the other individual who cannot be eliminated as a contributor to this mixture was Joseph Ryan, and the values were 530 sextillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Joseph Ryan and one unrelated unknown individual in the Caucasian population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the Caucasian population, and 960 septillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Joseph Ryan and one unrelated unknown individual in the African American population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the African American population. And then finally, it was 6.1 septillion times more likely to be observed if it originated from Joseph Ryan and one unrelated unknown individual in the Hispanic population than if it originated from two unrelated unknown individuals in the Hispanic population.
Thank you. I'm going to direct your attention to Commonwealth's 167, and before offering that into evidence, I'm just going to scroll down so you can take a look at it. I believe you've had the opportunity to look at it before today, but let me ask you, do you know Lisa Schermeyer-Wood?
Yes, she's a colleague of mine at the Virginia Department of Forensic Science.
Okay, and this document, Commonwealth's 167, was this drafted by Lisa Schermeyer-Wood?
Yes, this is her certificate of analysis.
Have you had the opportunity to review it, and are you comfortable reporting her findings to the court?
Yes, I did review her case file prior to coming in here.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Judge, at this time, Commonwealth would offer as Commonwealth's 167, Certificate of Laboratory Analysis dated July 13th, 2023.
Any objection? Okay. All right, 167 in evidence.
All right, thank you. All right, what was tested here? The swab from the stain on the side of the bed frame, is that correct?
And the knife.
And the knife. And what, as I scroll down to a stopping point, were the results of the testing on the mixture profile from the underside of the handle of the knife near the juncture of the blade and the handle?
Okay, and this stain was designated B3, and the estimate was that it's a mixture of two unknown contributors.
And I think we can probably, looking at these numbers, again, we're talking about octillions and septillions. These feel like very convincing numbers to me. Are they pretty strong?
Those are large values, yes.
Okay, so without diving into the values, were you able to determine who the two contributors were here to the stain on the underside of the knife?
Well, the program, True Little Casework, doesn't identify an individual, but it does analyze and compare to the reference profile, and the likelihood ratio generates support for one explanation or the other. And in this case, the likelihood ratios for both, we lost the report.
Yep, I see that. It's telling me that the battery is running low and it's plugged in.
Okay, so the likelihood ratios generated showed statistical support for the explanation of both Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan as contributors to this stain, or the stain B on the knife handle. B3, sorry, the stain B3 on the knife handle.
Sorry, bear with me here for just a second. I'm just going to go through every possible combination of chords. I got it. All right. So we established our contributors to the stain on the underside of the knife. How about when we looked at the stain from the swab of the stain from the side of the bed frame?
So based on the true allele analysis, using the DNA profile data generated by Ms. Colombo, the swab from the side of the bed frame was estimated to be a mixture of 2 people. And based on these results, the true allele casework analysis results, Christine Banfield cannot be eliminated as a contributor to this DNA mixture, and Joseph Ryan also cannot be eliminated as a contributor to this DNA mixture.
Thank you. I want to go back really quick on the knife. We have a mixture, we have contributors. The sample is identified as blood on the underside of the handle near the blade/handle juncture. Can you be certain that the mixture of DNA was extracted from blood and not skin cells?
It could be a combination of blood and skin cells. It could be just blood, since blood was detected. So we can't actually discern that.
Okay, thank you. Judge, I do not believe I have any additional questions for this witness.
All right.
Please answer any questions Mr. Carroll might have.
Cross-examination, do you have any? No questions. All right, is this witness subject to recall?
She is not.
All right. Is she subject to recall, Mr. Carroll? Okay, you're free to go. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right, your next witness,
Madeline Crowley.
Madeline Crowley.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Your Honor, if I may address the court, it had been my intention before calling the first witness to alert the court to Mr. Carroll has agreed that Mr. Gundekunst is no longer